This is Mirror Business FM. It's the morning drive. Food security next, a strategic priority for the UAE, particularly given the supply chain issues we've seen very lately. Lots of people talk about the challenges. Our guest today is actively building solutions across continents from here in the UAE. Hassan Halawy is the group CEO of Elite Agro. And under his leadership, the group isn't just farming locally, they're scaling massive global supply chains to help ensure that the UAE's food security is buffered against geopolitical storms. Hassan, it's good to have you here. Welcome.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Pleased to meet you. So the UAE continues to prioritize food security. It's a statement of intent, obviously by the government. How is Elite Agro aligning with national strategies, and what role does scale play today?
Well, thanks for bringing up this topic. It's honestly been the hot topic for the last couple of weeks.
Sure.
And the first thing I would like to say to everyone is, don't panic. It's all under control, especially in the UAE. It's been strategically looked into and looked after. As far as I could remember, and I can tell you that Elite Agro was established in 2010 as a first response to the food crisis that happened back then. Right. So you can see that the leadership has taken a strategic and a very long-term vision into our food security, and it's because it is part of the overall national security of the country, and it plays an integral part of it. Our part into the whole ecosystem is feeding in the local production, which is one of the pillars of food security.
Yeah.
Today, Elite Agro is still the largest single producer in the Emirates. We manage 4 of the largest farms, producing over 22,000 tons of fruits and vegetables, and more importantly, we produce also around 35,000 tons of animal feed forages, which are important for our livestock and our protein, in-country protein production. As I mentioned, we started in 2010, luckily, and we went through a very deep learning curve, which has made us outgrow our footprint here. And today we're present in 4 other countries: Serbia, Morocco, Mauritania, and Ethiopia, where we are managing also large-scale farms. In Serbia, we have almost 18,000 hectares under management, owned by the company and under management. In Morocco, we have around 3,000 hectares, and in Mauritania, around 5,000 hectares. All that feeds into a full supply chain ecosystem that even when it's not feeding directly into UAE, it's a strategic investment, knowing that we have it, we have access to it, and we have the first right to where to sell it.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's a large international footprint. You have what? 3,000 hectares here. What's the area
in the UAE? In the UAE, the cultivated is around 3,000 hectares.
Right.
We're limited by the water. Water is the main constraint in the UAE. It's not the land.
Yeah.
So that's why we're limited to around 3,000 hectares. That is company-owned assets and that we manage. But above that, we've turned into a we don't feed we support the food security in what we produce. We have outgrown that to be like the main support in terms of our other services. We have one of the most advanced engineering services in arid agriculture, and we offer these services for anyone else who would want to invest into agriculture. So we design and build some of the most high-tech agriculture facilities, the full vertical from greenfield up to the processing lines. We do that internally for our company, and we do that also for other investors who are going into the agri space. We do that not only in the UAE, Our services are competitive enough that we bid for international projects, and we do projects internationally as well. So that's kind of the full vertical and the full capabilities that we have within Elite Agro to support the food system, I would say, so that we would have a more resilient food security in country.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still a sizable area, 3,000 hectares here in the UAE. I'm interested in an era at a time when nations are very often turning inwards. I'm interested in that decision to have, you've got a national, but you've also got a global supply chain.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a decision made. That's the most secure way, I guess, to ensure food security to feed the UAE?
In terms of food security, there's always the misconception that food secure nations are nations that produce 100% of their food, which is not the case.
No.
It's never the case, actually. We just came back from Beijing, and I was surprised that China still imports a lot of its food. So the importance of the food supply chains is to know is to have a diversified supplies that can maneuver or outmaneuver any disruptions that happen to your regular supply chains that you are basically counted on. So we shouldn't be reliant. We're in an age where geopolitics are becoming or geopolitical tensions are becoming more frequent. The last few years, we had the Ukraine-Russia war. We have the issues in Sudan. We had the issues before Hermes. We had in Mendeb. So we need to really have diversified sources whereby we know that our feed is coming from different time zones, different geographies. So whatever disruptions that might happen, whether be it political or environmental or even sometimes financial, so that we have been diversified, and more importantly, we have the strategic reserves in the country to have a buffer and storage that would outlast any potential conflict that we might incur.
It's interesting because it's a diversification of risk, isn't it? I guess if you've got localized climate events, things like that. So the business operates across the full kind of agri-food value chain. How does vertical integration translate into resilience, particularly given the supply shocks that we've seen, the global supply shocks we've seen?
It's interesting because if you look into the full vertical, we look into open field production, controlled environment agriculture, which is the greenhouses where we grow fruits and vegetables, and then you go look into your packaging facilities, your cold chains, and then the distribution network all the way to the retailers or the end user consumer. How to feed into these different layers is important because, like I told you, in the UAE, we're limited in the production that we can do. So there's the segment that is local production that feeds the first layer, which is more focused in the UAE into fresh fruits, into fresh vegetables, and controlled environment agriculture because of the challenges that we have in the adverse weather conditions and the limitation in water. And then you have the supplies that come in from abroad, whereby we outsource, whether from our farms or from other international vendors, we outsource these produce and we feed them into our packing facilities, so that we make sure that we have the same quality standards, the same hygiene standards, get repackaged, and then get distributed to the distribution and retailers that we have in the country. So it's a harmony. You need to have some harmony and sync between all these different moving puzzles, so that you ensure that your shelves are always stacked with fresh produce, and there is no limitation to access for the end user.
You have a strong focus, I gather, on agri-tech, a strong focus on smart farming.
Yeah.
What innovations are delivering the biggest gains at the moment?
Not as much as we see on billboards, unfortunately. I've seen, it's interesting. Everybody, what do you do is it's becoming very trendy now. AgTech. We're really agriculture, not AgTech. AgTech can feed in, can support. Unfortunately, the penetration of technology into agriculture, when you compare it to other industries like the fintech or like the medical field, is really very limited, and it comes to various reasons. One is agriculture, unfortunately, works at a very low margins. So when it comes to innovation, adoption of technology, and all that, they're really very hesitant to do the initial investment. That's one part. The second part is farmers in general are very traditional. They like to, they're very hard to be convinced into moving the other direction. But having said that, science today is available. We do have a very advanced infrastructure, especially in our farms in the UAE. We have some of the most sophisticated irrigation systems because our most valuable input is the water, and we need to really conserve it as much as possible. And what we operate on here is the conversion of water into food, and how much water can give us kgs in food. This is a very important formula. It's an important part of our success because it is the most limited resource and most valuable one. You can see, and the products displayed in front of you. That's why we started focusing more on high-value crops, because we wanted to have a better return on this water. This is not food security, but this is maintaining our infrastructure, getting good return to our investors and shareholders, so that we can maintain this infrastructure, so that in time of need, we have an operating infrastructure that we can always switch to growing the essential food staples. But you're not going to stay from one crisis to another, which may take 10, 15 years, 20 years, draining yourself into growing staples, for example, that are not giving you a good ROI.
I mean, it makes sense because while it might not be food security in the traditional sense, it's certainly security of common sense.
I would count on that a lot. Yes, I would. I always count on this common sense. It's very uncommon, but I'd like to count on the common sense.
You got operations across multiple continents, as you say, Serbia and Morocco and Mauritania, and as well as here in the UAE. How do you manage climate variability so that you can ensure that you've got consistent year-round production? Because we're used to that now, aren't we? We're used to going into the supermarket. There's my figs, for example, whatever.
Well, I think we're getting more spoiled by the years, and we're followed by a much more spoiled generation that have very high expectancy. Or expectations. Exactly. So, I would remember growing up, I would eat an apple during 2 months a year. Same thing for a berry or a strawberry or seasonal.
That's right.
And that's where you get it. So today, our children or the new generation, they expect to have everything, and they expect it to be like delivered on an app in a second. It's changing time. We need to evolve with it, or else we're left outside. So we need to be available, and this is part of the new strategy that we're adopting, which is focusing on certain crops where we know we can add value, and we can service our clients in giving them this 365 days availability, preferably through our own production. So we would like to operate across different time zones, different geographies, into a certain criteria of crops that we know we have an edge in, and that we can supply to our clients on contractual basis year-round. So that kind of helps us against fluctuations. That gives our clients confidence that they are dealing with a reliable partner. And this is a bit of the industry trend, how it's growing, so that we're more focused. We have a team that is it helps us in our outsourcing of our inputs. It helps us in our efficiency. It helps us in being more growing our economy to scale so that we're competitive in these products.
You've mentioned water a couple of times for obvious reasons. We're in an arid region, a desert region.
This water is no longer the problem of this region. Water today is a global problem that is not limited to the UAE. On the contrary, being based in the UAE and having started in the UAE has given us the edge into growing successfully outside, because this is where we started. We started at this space. We started with appreciating water. So when we go to Serbia, where for the first time ever we have to install irrigation system, or when we go to Morocco, where we're having more pressure on the irrigation on the water availability, or when we go to Saudi or anywhere else, we have started with a very solid base of harsh environmental conditions, very limited water, and that gave us our edge to really be competitive and succeed outside.
Okay, so you started by solving that problem,
exactly,
didn't you? Because that's where you had to begin.
Exactly.
What kinds of solutions are you employing that are helping to improve efficiency? Because you're operating in it's a tough environment.
Yeah. So again, this is where technology comes in and helps. In our closed environment agriculture, we've moved all our production into hydroponic systems, which saves a lot of the water.
Right.
So there's the plant gets exactly its need, and the rest of the water is collected and recycled. And we use very efficient fertigation systems with sophisticated irrigation system, all weather control, so that we optimize the use of the water. Right. In our the challenge comes in the outdoor production or the open field production, because we have adverse conditions. We have limited water, but we also have sandy soil, which does not hold water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to that, we rely a lot on technology again. We use geospatial monitoring to monitor the indexes so that we can optimize our irrigation frequency. We use a lot of soil sensors so that we get accuracy of the reading, and we use very advanced irrigation system, the pivots or the open field system, so that we can increase the frequency of the irrigation. So we irrigate more often, lesser intervals, so that the water is available for the plant and does not leach into the ground. I would invite you to visit the farm, and I will share a couple of videos to see. We're really, I think that we run some of the most sophisticated, most advanced irrigation systems globally.
I can imagine. I need to do a lot better with my basil growing on the balcony. I got to say that. You're involved in government-to-government initiatives, aren't you?
We're part of that.
What opportunities are emerging from those partnerships?
I mean, we play our role as a UAE company by taking benefit of the opportunities that the UAE bilateral relationships come with different governments. But on a larger scale, if you want to look at it from food security perspective, and also from the global goodwill or impact that the UAE does, I would really like to emphasize on this point, because this is something that's done for the goodness of people, for the good of people, I would imagine. When we go and invest abroad in countries that have the potential to grow food, but is not producing it, right, we are basically supporting the food systems in the world by changing these countries from net importers to producers. By doing that, you release the pressure from the supply chains that are feeding the world. I'll give you an example. Today, Ukraine, Brazil, and 3 other countries feed almost 80% of the world in food staples. When you go to a country in, let's say, Africa, that is a net importer of wheat and rice, and you set up a farm that is 30, 40, or 50,000 hectares that is able to produce 20 or 30% of the food consumption of that country, you, first of all, you help that country because the biggest stress on their economy is their food bill, is that money, that the hard currency they have to send outside to import their food. So that relieves pressure on their local currency, one. Second, when they produce their food, this means that the stress and the demand on the main suppliers that feed countries that cannot grow like us, food staples, to make this food more available. And that is supporting the food security globally, not just in that particular country. This is the importance of what the UAE is doing in these G2G initiatives and in the investments that it is doing globally on a G2G level.
Okay, so a net positive thing to do because it's the right thing.
It is the right
to
thing.
do.
It is the right thing. And mind you, this is not always looked into. I mean, we as companies need to be profitable, but this is not always looked into in terms of we need to grow that food and bring it here. We have the right to bring it here. But most importantly is that the good it's doing to each country that the agriculture companies are investing in is much higher than the net economical benefit.
See, it's easy to be cynical about that,
exactly.
Obviously. But if that forms part of a government mandate or an attitude to the thinking behind those kinds of investments, there's a real feel-good factor to that. That must come back in returns other than simply financial returns, surely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Demand for traceability and food safety, that is rising globally. How do you maintain, and you've mentioned this as well, it's obviously key, but how do you maintain quality control at scale across different markets?
Yeah. First of all, I want to emphasize on the fact that local produce in the UAE is one of the highest standards in the world, because in the UAE by law, and MOCA, Ministry of Climate Change, back then was Agriculture, stated the law in 2018 where all the local farms need to be global GAP certified.
Right.
So any produce that you pick up that is locally produced in the UAE, you would with a high certainty know that it's done with good agriculture practices. It would not have chemical residues on it. It's hygienically clean and safe for consumption. So that's something that I really need to pass on and use this stage to reiterate to people, because there's always this misconception about local produce. At Elite, we don't face it anymore because we worked hard on our brand and on our on positioning ourselves, so people relate Elite Fresh as a quality produce. But I want to also emphasize that this applies to local produce in general, UAE local produce in general. Having said that, since we have these legislations in place for the quality standards, within Elite, we have different layers of quality control. It starts from the field to the pack house to the supply chain. We run 4 of the most sophisticated and state-of-the-art pack houses that maintains the cold chain from picking up the product all the way to its dispatch on the retailer's shelf. By that, we ensure that, first of all, the nutrition and the dietary added value of the produce is still with it, and the client who is consuming this product within 24, 48 hours is getting the value of all this nutritional benefits that come with the fruit or the vegetable. And also by that, we cater for a very, very important problem that faces the food system, which is the wastage. Till today, we waste around 33% of everything we produce, whether on the field or through the different supply chains till it reaches the producers. So maintaining this cold chains and maintaining this value chain across the full vertical is very important so that we can eliminate and reduce the food wastage. With all that in place today, we are at around 6 to 8% wastage.
That's
So
a huge,
imagine
a huge
it
difference.
is yeah. So from 33 to 6 to 8 is a huge difference, but that takes a lot of investment. That takes a lot of investment to be in place so that we can maintain this end-to-end solution.
I mean, I've noticed in the last few years, you've brought in lots of different products this morning, but I've noticed, I've lived in the UAE for some time, but I've noticed certainly the last 5 to 10 years, the difference in packaging, the difference in look of local produce. It wasn't that long ago when raspberries from the UAE,
Yeah.
excuse me, no, they come from wherever they come from. Blackberries from the UAE, not a chance. But now that's not the case. It's very hard to tell the difference between these packaged products here from the international products coming in. Aside from, it says, made in the grown in the UAE, or whatever, or produced locally or whatever. So there has been a huge change, as you say. You're expanding more into processing and into distribution. How important is it to move beyond the farming, if you like, into that kind of full food system model?
It's very important for our it's very important for our returns. Each country has its own particularities in terms of its distribution chains and the value chains that around the food. UAE is no different. So for us to be able to bypass the middleman and this is a problem with agriculture everywhere in the world. So luckily for us that we were supported by strong shareholders who believe in the industry, in the country, and have a bigger vision. So we were able to invest into the overall supply chain, like I told you. So we have the distribution network where we can directly distribute and position ourselves on the shelves of the retailers or get directly to the consumer. It's very important for us because by that, these margins that eat up sometimes 50, sometimes 70% of your profit are retained within the company rather than going to the middleman or who also have investments and have a business strategy of their own. So that's why it's important for us to really reach the end user. And it's good for the end user as well because the end user knows that this product has been picked 24 hours ago and has reached his table. So it's a win-win situation for both us and the end user.
There's data that suggests that UAE residents are more and more prioritizing reliability, local supply over imported alternatives. And one of the reasons there is side by side, you can see the quality, I guess. So it's a shift from sort of niche preference to necessity, I suppose. It's something we're seeing more and more of. Are you seeing this reflected in demand for this is the Elite brand, the fresh fruit we've got here, but it's the Marmoum brand as well, isn't it?
The Marmoum now is part of Al Ain Dairy.
Okay.
Okay, so it's no longer under the Elite umbrella.
That's changed.
Yes, that's changed. But they do have some of the best yogurt and Greek yogurt till today. I could say that. I like Marmoum. And there's also the science behind it, and there's also the investments that came behind it. I will still allow myself to speak. Marmoum Farm is one of the most sophisticated and most advanced dairy farms in the region, and that's why we do get these extra good products.
Okay. Looking ahead, Where do you see the biggest growth opportunities in agri-food? And I'm thinking regionally, but also globally.
I think judging from this year's experience, there will be a bit more focus on the local production and increasing the local production. This is an area that we will see some growth. But globally, the newer generation is being much more health conscious, and they have much higher level of awareness on what goes into their bodies and the quality of the food they're consuming, the origin of the food, the carbon footprint of the food that they're consuming. And this is something very refreshing, because I think that the newer generation is going to be able to fix the food systems that we've tried. First we were accomplice in building, and then we're trying to fix, but we kind of felt that we created this monster we're not able to shake. So I think we will return more to locally grown, homegrown food. This trend is going to grow more and more. People want to be more sure and certain about what they're consuming, the quality of the product that they're getting, the genetics. They want to reduce the carbon footprint of food being shipped all over the world to reach their table. These are micro trends, but they are trends that are growing, and I think it will be wrong not to start building strategies around them, because this is how the new generation, this is their way of thinking, and this is going to shape up the future of the industry.
Well, micro trends tend to become trends,
Exactly.
which tend to become the way it is.
Exactly,
don't they?
exactly.
That's the reality, I suppose. What risks do you see? I mean, we're in uncertain times. So what risks do you see to global food systems at the moment? And how would you like to see companies, farms, companies, governments responding?
The risks that we're seeing, just recently in the last few weeks, we've seen some of the biggest risks that will affect that's going to affect next year millions, if not billions, of people. Although the conflict is contained in GCC, however, that same strait that controls the oil controls also the outflow of almost 30% of the nitrogen fertilizers that is required for food production. By the nitrogen not reaching farmers globally, first of all, there's now higher demand on the nitrogen that is coming, which goes into urea and the NPK, from the other sources, so the price has almost doubled. Many farmers cannot afford it, so they're not using it. So that will automatically lead to 40-50% drop in their production. The others who could afford it, they've put an extra burden on themselves by having to pay some unbudgeted operational cost for their inputs. And eventually this is going to drive food prices even higher. We might not, we'll notice it, but we'll not feel the impact of our wheat price rising 40-50%, or the rice rising 40-50%. You will notice it, but you can continue your life with it. But when you go to populations that we say, live hand to mouth, where the family income, 50% of it goes into their food bill, and the other 50% goes into their housing, electricity, education, all that. So if your food bill jumps by 50%, this is going to take out money from their rent, from their health, from their education, and this is going to create a lot of chaos. So the interconnectedness of the global food systems that we built post-World War II, and the reliance on hydrocarbons and the monocropping culture that we created, needs to be reconsidered. And we need to start looking into ways into localizing produce more. Countries that can and have the resources to produce food and are not doing it because they cannot compete with the monocropping culture that we have, really need to start, or it's a combined responsibility to start encouraging to grow food, because we cannot continue with using this broken system. Yeah. This is a system that's like a time bomb and it's going to explode.
My final question for you is really about your long-term vision, I think, and it's your role when you consider the UAE's national food strategy 2051, with how you continue to build a more kind of self-sufficient, a more sustainable food ecosystem in the UAE, and obviously beyond the UAE as well in your case. But what's your vision for that, just to finish off today?
So in terms of the Global Food Security Index, and that's where that's the benchmark that we measure the progress in how well we're doing.
Right.
Today we're doing great on it. But we do have aspirations because, in the UAE we like to be number one in everything, and we can achieve it. But then again, you need to look into the whole basket, the whole matrix of how to achieve that. I think we have excellent supply chain networks. The resilience of our supply chain networks are great. What happened in recent events gonna also highlight gaps in the system, which are being looked into. The additional ports on the ocean, the rail network that's gonna facilitate food coming in and out. The thing about the greatness of the UAE is how fast it reacts. And today also don't underestimate what's been signed with Jordan on the railway for the change of chemicals that go into the agri inputs. This is a very, very important strategic move. So in terms of the supply chain network, I think we'll do great. In terms of our local production, this is something that we need to focus on. Science helping us more and more. Like you mentioned, you haven't seen blueberry, or you couldn't see blueberry or raspberry or blackberry 10 years ago. So that's due to science, advancement of science helping us to grow these products locally. I think our basket will grow more in the coming few years with the advancements of genetics and AI. And the last thing is we really need to look more into the efficiency of the food systems. Traceability today and AI is helping us come up with solutions to lower the wastage of the food. And the last thing I would say is awareness, people awareness. We really do not have to eat avocados every day.
That's true.
It's good, it's nice, and same thing applies for sushi. So we need to be more aware of what's the impact of our choices on the overall village that we live in today, which is called Earth. So the more demand we put on it, the more we're going to be stressing it, and it's a combined responsibility for all of us to be contributing to its well-being.
We've got to get across, haven't we, that when I was a kid, for example, I knew that in May, June, round about Wimbledon time, to me, strawberries were great.
Of course, yeah.
Earlier, the ones at the moment, a little bit watery, not so much flavour, not quite as much sun, they're not ripening as much. By about May, June time, they're pretty good. Because it's seasonal.
Absolutely.
But then by October, ain't no strawberries around. But I knew that there weren't. We've got to kind of get back to that. I don't want to sound too much of a ethereal hippie here, but it's getting back to nature a bit, isn't it?
It will help.
Kinda.
It will help. It will help. I mean, I don't want to go overboard if I have a business to run, but yeah, I think balance is key in everything that we do, and this is part of what we need to be considering today. And then again, I'm very, very optimistic with the new generation. I mean, I'm impressed with the level of consideration they have, whether to fair market price, fair farm gate price, to ethically grown, where was it grown, was the farmer paid properly for his coffee beans or chocolate beans. So these are things that are important. I mean, at the end of the day, we said it's a village, and you can't be doing great while your neighbor is not. So the more we invest into this, I think this is greater good for humanity, and this is something that the UAE has taught us to really look into and support others.
And there's really no shortage either. We can see we're surrounded by fresh produce in the studio for a change this morning. Hassan Halawy is the Group CEO of Elite Agro. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you. Good to have you here.
Likewise.
This is Mirror Business FM.